Hi, Tribe Builders. I am so excited for the person that is going to be joining us today. She is super fucking fantastic. Like I've met super connectors. Like I'm a connector. I really like and enjoy doing stuff like that. But when I met this gal, holy crap! Like she brings it to a level that I don't even know how to explain. So I met this gal a few years ago at a mindset kind of group. I guess we were doing an in-person event for a mindset group that we were all a part of, and we kind of hit it off, and I've gotten to hang out with her in real life a few times, which is always interesting when you have friends that are all over the nation. But her story is even different because she's typically not even in the United States in some way, shape, or form. You literally have to text her and be like, what continent are you on? Because that's the kind of human she is. So without further ado, Sarah Weaver, hi, how are you?
I'm so good. Calling in from Mexico City, so very on brand today.
That's so funny. We actually just caught up a little bit before this call, and I didn't even ask her where she was. I made an assumption she was in the States, and of course she's not. What a silly thing to assume. So, Sarah, please tell people, what are you known for?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm just a girl who decided that she wanted to buy some real estate. And the reason I wanted to buy real estate was I have this very expensive addiction of travel, and I wanted to find a way that eventually I could travel when I want, where I want, with whom I want. And I thought it would take 10, 12 years. And because of the power of investing in real estate, I really built the life of my dreams in 4 years. And so
Awesome.
I am an out of state investor, long, long distance. I've bought while living in New Zealand. I've bought while living in Mexico, and I've always bought in the US. I actually own in the Midwest. I'm a Midwestern girly. I buy in places in the Midwest. I actually bought in a city I'd never been. I'd never been to Des Moines, Iowa when I bought there. And even closed on that property without seeing it. And so I believe in long distance investing. And then I started sprinkling in this medium term rental strategy. And so I think that's probably the answer to your question when what am I known for? I wrote a book about midterm rentals, and I really believe it's a really great strategy to have in your toolbox.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Like I love, you know about me at least that I have short-term rentals. So anything furnished, I'm like, why wouldn't you just furnish it and make more? So I'm always happy to see that, when people are doing, even if it's medium term, I don't care. So, and then can you do a quick, like you just talked about how much you travel. Can you just do like a quick snippet of this traveling version of you? Because I feel like that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys, when I say I'm addicted to travel, it is not exaggeration. I have switched accommodation in 2024 109 times. I've taken
Dang.
82 flights in 2024, and I've visited 56 countries on all 7 continents.
In the 56 countries wasn't this year though, right? That's been the last
No.
like 10 years.
Yeah, I started at 19. I went abroad for the first time when I was 19, and ended up calling my parents from Italy and dropping out of college. And I was like, "I promise I'll come back." And I later found out that my dad, when they hung up, he was like, "Well, never gonna see that girl again."
And you are like you're fully nomadic, at least as of right now at the end of 2024.
Yeah, I have been nomadic for 5 years and 10 months and 20 something days, and I am officially under contract on my primary. So by the time this episode airs, I will be a girl, just a normal girl living a normal life in
Yeah, right.
Kansas City, my hometown. So be careful, everyone. Never say never. I think even 6 months ago, I was like, "I'd never move to Kansas City." Well, here I am.
I think that's so awesome. So you are fully nomadic, doing real estate from all of like literally all over the world. I feel like you're always in Asia. I don't know why. I don't even know
Yeah,
that that is true, but I
I do
always am like,
spend
it's probably in
yeah,
Asia.
I spend a lot of time in Asia. I lived in London this summer. I lived in London last summer. I've spent a significant time in Guatemala. I really just have spent a lot of time in a lot of places, and I appreciate how you introed me so, so much because like being the connector or the glue really is like so, so, so important to me. And it's tied really closely to my values, my core values. And I think that's why I love traveling so much is that I get to meet so many amazing people and so at such high frequency. My dad one time said that he thinks that I meet more people in a year than he has in his lifetime, and he's probably
Yes.
right. And my
Yeah,
dad's a
he's
pretty
totally accurate.
charismatic. Yeah, and my dad's like a chatty, charismatic guy. I get a lot of my personality from my dad, and so he's not a hermit by any means, and I still think it's true.
I actually think that's true as well. Like when I remember I tell people about our wedding and we had a lot of people at our wedding and people are like, I don't even know if I know that many people. I'm like, oh my God, that's only a small portion of people I know that was invited because it was like over 350 people. And I'm just like, I love humans. I just love people so much. So I could have another one and it would probably be 1,000 people. So I love that that's the kind of, world that you're in. And I remember some of the first times we met and just hearing you talk about like you're a sponge. Like, can you actually talk about how you remember all these details? Do you remember them? Do you actually write them down? And for the people that don't know Sarah, you can actually go up to her, ask her a couple of questions of people, like maybe if you're standing in a circle and she's already talking to people, she can already give you a synopsis of each one of those people and tell you what kind of human they are, tell you what they actually care about, like that kind of stuff. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I like you, I really like people, and I think people really care when you not only remember their name, but you remember something about them. And so as I go to all of these conferences, I think I've been to 36 conferences or events just in 2024.
Oh,
I make it a point to remember people's names, remember where do they live, where do they invest, what's something interesting about them, and it just takes a lot of practice.
so you actually remember this? Wait a minute. So when you like leave a conference and maybe you gathered 10 people's new phone numbers, do you write notes in your phone? Like how do you or you literally can just regurgitate this stuff every time you see them 6 months later?
Um, I wish that I had like a perfect system and routine and I stuck with the same system every time, but no, the truth is that maybe I write things down but most of the time, yes, I am just remembering.
Holy Hannah, I find it to be amazing because I know that like I can see somebody and I see their face and I'm like, oh my God, I totally know this person. I just don't remember their
I
name.
mean, don't get me
Like they
wrong, that
might.
happens to me too. Like I'm not
Okay,
Rain
good.
Man. It's not
I've never seen it.
perfect.
I've actually never seen you actually like trip over. I don't remember this person's name because it's amazing. Like if you guys go to any, events or anything in the real estate space, the likelihood is Sarah is at something like that or speaking at that. And it's amazing. Like you tell her what you want or who you need and the likelihood is she will spit out four different people from different markets or from that market that you're even talking about, like if you're in Kansas City or if all of a sudden you're talking about Iowa or you're talking about California. Even though she doesn't invest there, I bet she has a dozen people she knows in California.
I do. I got a
uh
lender, I got an attorney in all these different cities. And I think that why that became so important is I'm building a community called the mentorship program and
Mhm,
my students they know that they want to invest in real estate, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners do too, but they're not doing it. And like
mhm.
I think you and I have similar personalities. Sometimes we just want to shake people like out of pure
Yes.
love, like do the thing. And so one of the ways that I allow my students to have the portfolio that they want is I introduce them to the lender. I introduce them to the agent. Sometimes I even hand them the deal. Like an agent will send me a deal and I want to buy it, but I know that Paul is looking for something in Kansas City. And so I send it to Paul, but I tell my agent if he doesn't get back to you and he doesn't want it, then I'll write an offer. But sure enough,
Mhm,
Paul will write an offer. And that's how he went from 0 to 7 units in 3 months. Is I just handed him everything and then he did the
mhm,
work, but I handed him everything that he would need. And usually when I say hand them everything they need, I'm handing them the people in their, network that are going to get them the deal that they want.
Yeah, so let's like go down that hole a little bit more. Like tell me about this community you built because I know these things about you. I know that you have your mentorship program and coaching program, which I do want to talk about. But how on earth did you start building this community of like I mean, you have layers of people in so many different markets. Like what did that look like and why did you even start doing it?
Yeah, I think I started because I saw another investor in the community doing exactly this. She was doing a really good job of collecting people's information and then connecting them with agents, and then she would get a referral fee from that. And so it was essentially another income stream for her. And I was like, "Oh, that would be using like all of my skill sets, right? I love networking, I love meeting people, I love connecting people." And so that was really how it started is just it started with a spreadsheet. And anytime I'd meet someone, if they were like, "Oh, I loved my agent," I'd say, "Great, can you send me that agent's name?" And so I quite literally have like hundreds of cells of, real estate agents in all these different cities that I've never even spoken to. And I'm very transparent when I hand that agent's info over. I'm like, they do not know who I am. I have no idea if they're actually like worth their weight, but at
Mhm.
least it gets the person started.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you just started asking people for info, and then you've built this whole community of, I kind of just want to say it's affiliates, but like this backdoor of like, here, this person said that this person was awesome, so you should give them a try.
And what's really wild is I actually don't have an active license right now, so I'm clearly just doing this from, like, the kindness of my heart, and then if you're in my mentorship program, obviously you're paying to be in the program, and then I go over and beyond, and I'm giving you everything else that you need, like your due diligence checklist. I'll look over the deal with you. I teach you how to analyze deals. I teach you how to screen tenants, just so that there's not a single step along the way that you have to do anything by yourself. I'm a huge believer in never reinventing the wheel.
Mhm.
People have been investing in real estate successfully for hundreds of years. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's just do it and do it really well.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. So the community that you have around you is really just based off of just networking. Like that's it. That's like literally your secret sauce is just network the heck out of everything.
Yeah, I think it's network and it's also a layer of what I call radical accountability. And so I alluded to it a second ago when we said we like just want to shake people sometimes. And so what happens is I build enough trust with my mentees that they know really almost no matter what I say to them, it's out of love and a mutual respect. And so sometimes I'm getting people in my program that they tell me that they, want to buy another property, or they tell me that they, want to make changes to their marriage or their health or their finances, and months go by and they don't do anything. And
Mhm.
so when someone joins their program, they know that they're signing up for what I call radical accountability. And so I'm going to be checking in with them, and I'm going to be checking in with them with kindness, with curiosity. Hey, what's really going on? Like, what can we do together to get you where you wanna go? And never from a place of shame
Mhm.
or and I don't even really welcome defensiveness because that doesn't work either. And I think that it works really well because there's a lot of care and compassion that comes along with it. But I also say the thing that's left unsaid, like, "You're not doing what you said you were gonna do."
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think I love me some accountability, so I get it. If somebody tells me something, I just saw something on my calendar pop up that somebody is quitting their job next month. I know his first name. I have to look through to find his last name. But I put it on my calendar because I'm like, I'm gonna follow up with that person because accountability is like the most fun thing.
Yeah.
I love this. I love that that's a pillar of your program because you kind of need it.
Mhm.
So as you've been building your community, so now like talking about your coaching program, your mentorship, what is something you've been surprised about in your community? Like you didn't expect that that was going to happen within your community.
I think the amount of fear that is surrounding real estate investing, and it's not that I'm fearless because I didn't have a backup plan. Like when I invested in real estate, I was making $47,000. I don't come from parents with money. I put myself through college. I paid off my student loans by teaching English in Korea. I'm unmarried. Like I needed this to work because like if it
Mhm.
didn't, I didn't know what I was going to do. Um so it wasn't that I was fearless, but I do something called function in the fear,
Mhm.
and that's something that's really difficult to teach. And so, my students, I think what always surprises me is how fearful they are. So, let me give a tangible example. So, last week, we meet almost every Tuesday. and we had our lesson, and the lesson was how to hire virtual assistants successfully.
Mhm.
And I just forgot how much fear is wrapped around it. Like, they're like, "Okay, but how do you let your virtual assistant, answer your Airbnb inquiries?" And I kinda was like, "They open the app on their phone and they write the message." And so it was like, "Okay, no, 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 like, what are they actually asking?" And what they're
Mhm.
actually asking is, "Sarah, what do you do if something goes wrong?
Mhm.
What if your virtual assistant, accepts a booking that you would have never accepted? What if they send a message that's not to the level of excellence that you believe in?" And so we really then dove into everything that they were actually afraid of. And by the
Mhm.
end of it, they were like, "Oh yeah, that's like, of course I can train someone." The nice thing about the types of tasks that we're talking about in relation to real estate investing, like, we don't have to be that smart to do it. And so if we hire someone very smart and capable, guess what? They're probably gonna do an even better job than you and I, because 'cause they're not
Yeah.
running around doing 20 other things.
Yeah.
And so I think really listening to the mentees is key. I see a lot of other coaches out there, like, only operating from the system that they operate from. So, for example, like, if I just went in and I'm like, "Will you just send the text to the agent?" That's how my mind works.
Mhm.
My clients are like, "Well, how do I get the agent's number? How do I know it's appropriate to text them? Do I call them? Do I text them before I call them? What do I say in the text message?" That's how a lot of people's minds work. That's not how my
Mhm.
mind works. I just, like, go
Yeah.
in and figure it out as
Just
I
do the
go.
thing.
I
Yeah.
just do the thing, and I mess up a lot, whereas I'm okay with messing up. I see failure as I'm learning lessons,
Mhm.
but for some people, failure is paralyzing, and
Yeah.
so they're not gonna go in without preparedness. And I
Yeah.
think that that is what the mentorship program gives them, is it gives them the scripts they can copy and paste. It has made me slow down as a business owner, and I document everything. And so everything is a checklist, everything is a doc, everything is a, this is how we do things. And then that's just handed to everyone on a plate.
That's awesome. And, okay, so going back to, like, conferences, you go to a ton of conferences. How do you pick all these conferences? And, what are your goals when you go to a conference? Like, I mean, thinking of somebody that's only gonna go to 1 or 2 conferences a year,
Yeah.
not almost 40, that even makes my jaw drop, Sarah, holy crap. But, tell me, like, how do you pick these conferences, and then what's the plan when you go in?
Absolutely. So, well, this year I didn't go to any conference that I didn't speak at. And so, well, that's not true. I attend one conference a year that I don't speak at. That is an entrepreneur conference. Um, but otherwise, I'm speaking at all of the conferences I'm attending. And so, I'm going to answer the question a little bit differently. So, if you're listening to this and you're wondering what conference to go to in 2025, the biggest question you need to ask is, what is the one thing that my business or portfolio needs? What is the
Mhm,
one thing? And maybe it is motivation and inspiration. Then you could probably go to any of the conferences. Maybe it is you need to meet a someone who runs syndications that you can trust because you're going to invest in a syndication. Well, then go to
mhm,
the best ever conference. It's literally not the best ever conference. That's the name of it, best ever conference by
mhm.
Joe Fairless, because that's where you're going to meet a lot of the syndicators. Or go to Julie Holly's conference. She's a syndicator that I know, like, and trust, and she has a great conference.
Mhm.
If you need to learn about anything related to short-term rentals, well, then go to the short-term rental experts. If you want to learn about boutique hotels, then go to Blake Daly's boutique hotel
Uh-huh.
conference. But what I don't want people to do is I don't want them to pay the time, really the time, money, and energy to go to a conference that, like, maybe I'll do boutique hotels one day. It's
Mhm.
like, no, no, no. Go to the conference where that is gonna be the game changer. Like, you're gonna go to that one conference, and what's gonna happen at that conference is going to directly affect you, your life, and your portfolio. So, how do you do that? Well, you don't just go to the conference, okay, you guys? You are looking at the website, you are taking all of the speakers' names and putting them into a spreadsheet, You are going to all of the speakers' Facebook, website, Instagram. You're following, liking, subscribing to their podcast. You're commenting on their photos. When you register for that conference, I want you to screenshot like your ticket confirmation or the sales page, and then you simply post it on your Instagram. And when you post on your Instagram story, you tag all of the speakers and the presenters. And even though I have a social media team running my Instagram, I'm still looking at my Instagram every day. And so I'm going to see, like, oh, look, like Jamie Jones is coming to the conference. And then I'm probably going to click on their profile and learn a little bit about them. And then when Jamie comes up to me at the conference, which I encourage everyone to do, then I'm going to, make a connection that like, oh yeah, this person actively was tagging me on anything that they posted about the conference. And and then in addition to that, know who the speakers are. I cannot tell you how many times I've been at a conference where I've been standing next to someone that I consider to be a very big deal. And then, an attendee comes up and is like, so what do you do? Or worse, they're like, do you invest in real estate? Um, and then worse yet, I've had this happen twice this year. They don't even talk to me. They talk to the man that I'm talking to, and they just assume that I'm his wife.
Oh
I've had that
no.
happen. I've had that happen at an event that I was the MC.
Oh,
and
great.
and the person that did this was a speaker, and it took like everything in my power when I went to introduce this gentleman to not like publicly announce, be like,
Shame him.
oh,
Uh-huh.
you know what he did yesterday? I just was like, and here's this presenter. Whereas everyone else got a really lovely introduction. No, I gave him a lovely introduction because that was the right thing to do. But you guys, like, you have to know who's speaking at these conferences. Otherwise, why are you investing the money? That's what I do not understand, is why are you buying the ticket, buying the plane ticket, getting childcare, Ubering to the airport, paying for all of this stuff when you're not even prepared to be there? And I know people listening, I know that you've done this, and I'm so passionate that like you need to prepare when you go to a conference. So I'm Googling everyone. I have everyone's information. Like, I know a lot about these people before I even step into the room.
That's awesome. I think that's a great tip and different way to do that. Like I don't do things like that. I typically buy things. The reason that I buy to go to conferences is typically I'm involved some way, shape, or form with whoever's putting it on, or I just really want to go see my friends. And I always make new friends while I'm there. But you know, like I like hearing why other people do stuff like this. So it's really, really fun. Like, and that's I think that's amazing feedback on how to make connections when you get there, because then all of a sudden you can move to the front of the line of things, or all of a sudden now you can do this thing where you get to talk to these people that are on the stage, which is half the reason that you go there is whoever is going to be on stage.
Yeah, and I think it's even more than just like who's on stage, but it's making intention with like, why am I going here? So
Hmm.
maybe it's that you want to meet other people that are investing in Minnesota. And so then
Hmm.
make a point when you talk to people, say, hey, do you know anyone else here that's investing in Minnesota? And go ahead and do the ask. I think that's the other thing, is I love when people know exactly what is that one thing, and
Yes.
don't say that you're looking for a deal. Like, no shit. Everybody's looking for a deal. But if you tell me like, I'm looking for duplexes under 350,000 in Kansas City, Missouri, guess what? I know exactly who to introduce you to.
Do 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 do. Maybe I need to get some kind of like, hey, we had technical difficulties. Music. Maybe that's a thing. Well, we had technical difficulties because Miss Sarah was in Mexico City, but we just splice it right together. It's gonna be great.
That's my
Okay.
encouragement for everyone, is if you're going to go to a conference in the next year, make it a conference that matters and then maximize it. And don't try to meet everyone. That is, Tanya and I probably try to do that. I don't even recommend it. Do as I say, not as I do. But I go to a conference knowing exactly, like, there are two people that I really am excited to get in contact with, and I probably know what I want to say to them or what I need or think I need from them. And that has changed my life. It's changed my life. So that's my encouragement to you guys.
I think it's so awesome. I do want to ask you, and this doesn't have to be about conferences, actually, it could be about anything, but what are two ways people can build their business friend network? Like, I mean, people like assume it's a person that's not extroverted like us, somebody that's an introvert that maybe has a harder time meeting people. Like, what are two really good ways to build your network about business?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because you're exactly right. We're incredibly extroverted. And what that means is that like this stuff fills our cup. Like
Hmm.
we're going to be at the after parties, after party, and then the hotel suite with everybody when we
Yeah.
should just go to bed, right? Like that is how we are. Because it energizes us. And so what I find is that actually like my closest friends are all introverts and they love having me around. They're like, Sarah is our extrovert. She takes
Yes.
us with her everywhere she goes. And then she doesn't care if we Irish goodbye because Sarah doesn't need us. And
Hmm.
so it works out really well. And what I have learned from my introverted friends is they like people. Like they really like people and they like these events. They're just drained. And so if you are an introvert or this drains you in any way, then allow yourself to go back to the room, get horizontal, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. Like have a way that you can take a break. I think that that's really important. Like give yourself what your body needs. And then go with what I said, like just have two people that you want to talk to. That way, like, and try to do it before lunch because then it's out of the way, right? It's that's done. I don't have to think about it. It's not taking up my mind space. If after lunch I need to go lay down or be quiet or do whatever I need to do to get my energy back, then you can do that. But I think just going in knowing that there's like one person that you want to talk to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. And then can you tell me, okay, this is like one of my favorite questions ever, and I'm excited because you got all kinds of freaking stories. So I want you to tell me a story about the coolest or most random way you've ever made a mentor or a business connection. You
Um,
can do two stories, Sarah, if you want,
I
because I
know I
know that
really want to
you're like,
joke and
oh my
say,
God.
well, a joke came to mind. I really wanted to be like tender, but no, I haven't networked in Tinder. Um, it's not true. I promise.
You probably have.
No, I really haven't. I really haven't. I am on dating apps, which makes it funny, but no, I have not networked. The best way I've made a mentor connection, man, that's a great question. Probably. Well, it's on brand to say a plane. Of course, I've met people on planes that I've like kept in touch with. But I'm trying to think of something that's like really meaningful. I think for me, what I really like is I like to create a safe space for people to tell me things that otherwise they probably would never tell someone. And
Mhm.
so I know that like even in our small circle, like one of the very first conversations I had with a woman was just about something so intimate and so vulnerable. And that just solidified that we were going to be not just like business friends, but friends. And so that's something that I'm really proud of. I'm really proud that I create a safe space for people to tell me things, build
Mhm.
trust quickly. Because that's the other thing is we don't have a lot of time. I guarantee that there's people listening to this that, especially as I'm talking about being really intentional when you're attending conferences, I'm sure that there's people that have attended conferences and left being like, oh, like I should have, or I wish I would have, or I could have. And I don't want that for you guys. Like you don't have very much time. And so you kind of need to cut out the small talk. I mean, don't be weird, guys. Like, don't just walk up to someone and like start divulging information. But I think that it's really important that we cut out the small talk because we don't have a lot of time. A lot of times these events are like maybe 2 8-hour days and that's it.
Mhm. No, that's cool. So, can you tell me, this is kind of a random one. What's the most expensive lesson you've ever learned?
Um, Probably what comes to mind is the lesson of hesitation. I
Yeah.
passed on so many good deals. And so I think about the missed opportunity cost. I probably could be at my cash flow goal today, of 20,000 a month. if I had not hesitated and I had bought all of the deals that were coming to me. I was a part of a mastermind where there just was deal flow every single week. This was in 2019, 2020, 2021, and these were good deals, good deals. And I was scared. I had never used hard money. I'd never used private money. Never raised capital. I was scared. And so I think about that all the time, like the cost of hesitation.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, that's a really, really good. It's like the most fantastic answer I think ever. Because hesitating, people don't even consider that. They don't even consider that as part of the equation, but it actually is true. Like we lose out on money when we hesitate or when we, just sit on the sidelines, essentially like the
Mhm.
whole entire kit and caboodle. So, it's cool. So can you tell me a little bit more about like your mentorship coaching program? Like what are you looking for if somebody's listening and wants to come hang out with you? What kind of person should they be?
Yeah, there's someone that is not a looky-loo. You're not looking for me to convince you that you want to invest in real estate. You already know you want to invest in real estate and you still don't have the portfolio that you want. Maybe you own some properties, maybe you don't. That's less of importance than the desire to own property. And so what happens when you join the mentorship program is you get that radical accountability that we talked about. You get the Rolodex that I've, spent 8 years now building. I have been networking with real estate agents. Actually, it'll be 10 years next year, which is wild,
Mhm.
since 2015. And I have written everything down. Like, every process and system is just handed to you. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, if you know that you don't have the portfolio or the life of your dreams because of something that's going on up here, if it's something mindset related, I would love to help you like navigate the next steps. I will hop on the phone with you. Like this, you are no longer doing this alone. And so if you're feeling like you're doing it alone, if you feel like you're stuck, and even if you just want to buy one deal next year, it is worth the investment to do what I call take the elevator to the penthouse. I think that you could get, you're going to do it fast and an $8,000 mistake. So why not, invest $8,000 into a program and a mentor that really cares about you?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So anybody looking for mentorship. And what is the group portion? Is it do you get to see the other people that are on the calls? Do you do group calls and things like that? So there's a community that comes with it?
Yeah, actually, and we meet every Tuesday. We take the third Tuesday off where I encourage people to meet with their accountability group that week. So essentially, we meet every Tuesday via Zoom, on camera and on time. How many times people listen to me about those two things? I don't know, but some people show up on camera and on time. And then if you join now, it actually includes an in-person retreat. And so for the price of the mentorship program, you are invited to meet me and all of the mentees together for 2 days of goal setting, masterminding, and spending quality time together because I think that's the game changer. Once you've spent time with me in the same room, I think the messages that I'm sending you every week, hey, Tanya, you haven't done what you said you were going to do. Hey, how can I support you? You're like, okay, Sarah's a real person and she's authentic and she means what she says and she really is there to help serve me and support me. I think that magic happens when you meet in person. And so the mentorship program, for the first time ever, this is not one of those marketing things, quite literally, the first time ever, the mentorship program now includes an in-person retreat.
That's awesome. I think that's super fun. And how can people find you on the World
Yeah,
Wide Web?
the best way is my website, Sarah D. Weaver. That's Sarah D. Weaver, or my Instagram, Sarah D. Weaver. If you guys tell me that you heard me on the podcast, I'd love to, hop on the phone with you and see if it's a good fit for you.
Oh, it's awesome. So anybody that's listening, like I'll put some stuff in show notes. And if you ever want, if there's anything you have questions about Sarah or something, shoot me a message and I'm happy to connect you with her because she does bring a lot of value. She is one of the most community driven people that I know because there's just so many different communities that she has. We actually only talked about one of them today. She has multiple. But yeah, if you like definitely look her up, start following her. You will get a nice little boost of get your goals done, like figure out what you want. I think that's one of the cool things about you is you put a lot of importance on what do you actually want to do, how much money do you need to do it, and now how do you get to it. And I think that's the parts of the planning that you really are strong at. It's like showing people
Yeah,
it's
because
not hard.
I really believe that like everybody has a greatness inside of them. They just need to give themselves permission to let it out. And so I hope that you guys get that just from listening to this podcast is okay, what is the one thing that I could do today that would make the biggest difference in my life? And set some time aside and do it.
Mhm. No, that's awesome. Well, thanks a lot for the time today, Sarah. I appreciate it, even from Mexico. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. Bye now.